It feels like the first time. It feels like the very first time.
It feels like the first time. It feels like the very first time.
Hey guys, welcome to the First Time Show. Look at this huge, weird screen you're looking at in the video version of the show. We've got Brett, and we've got Alana, and we've got me, and that's it. We don't have Owen. We don't have another guest. We did have a guest lined up for tonight, but shit happens, and it's okay. But the plan is to have, like, a guest on every episode, but we're not planning this well. And also, Alana and I are in Palm Springs. We decided to get the fuck out of LA for a couple of days. So our audio sounds a little different. Our video looks a little different. This episode is going to be a little different, but same old First Time Show. And Brett Register's here. Hi, Brett. How are you?
Hi. I sat on the couch.
I love that. Get
because
comfy.
I knew you guys weren't going to be on the couch.
How do you feel
and
about...
I wanted some consistency.
Oh, I love that.
Show.
We're getting cozy today, and we've got our peach furniture, and we're feeling our salmon furniture here.
Hold on, can I ask something? I'm not seeing levels on that.
You're not gonna. You're gonna see Brett only.
Oh.
Because our audio's here.
Okay.
Don't worry
Wait,
about
watch.
that. I'll
Watch.
cut that part out.
You looking?
Yeah, I'm looking.
No, look at the levels.
Oh, now
You
look
see
at the
me?
levels. Yeah.
Yes.
Anyway, don't worry about it. I'm an audio guy. I got this shit figured out. Sometimes I'll forget to record, but once we are recording, I got a handle on it. Anyway, so welcome to the show. We've watched the second episode of Lovecraft Country, and
Alana looks so nervous.
yeah, what's going on?
Not if you really do want to be in Palm Springs right now.
Alana doesn't want to be here. Get the fuck out! I'll enjoy this place myself. I have to say right off the bat that, like, Alana and I, we were staying in this Airbnb, and so I brought all my stuff. I brought my PlayStation, and so that we could play Fall Guys.
I know what you're getting
and
at.
like, well, it's not that. It's not like, oh no. It's
Yes,
just
it
like,
is.
No, it's not. It's just Alana and I watched the episode, and then like
About a third of the way through.
and then about a third of the way through, it started
It
to
happened
do
once. About a third of the way through, one time, there was just like a full second or two of black on the
It
screen.
seemed like the show went to a commercial break.
Yeah, and we were like, oh, that's
you know when
weird.
you watch a Netflix show and like either there was meant to be a commercial break or they were like, this is going to be a TV show,
But
so
it
we're
was-
going to have like a small
It's
cliffhanger.
Hulu. Hulu originals have
Yeah,
actual
exactly.
commercial
Yes,
breaks.
a lot of
It throws
stuff
me
does.
It was
It's
a
so
bit,
weird.
But it was a bit long.
Well, it felt-
I think it was longer than those
It just
are.
felt like that. It felt natural, and it happened in the
No,
show,
but-
and we were like, okay.
But let me tell you the first
well,
thing.
hang on.
No, because this is how
Alright.
this is why we believed it was part of the show, because we rewound it.
Well, now you're just
And the
jumping
connection-
ahead. That's not how you tell the story. You gotta say. You
How
gotta,
I'm telling the story.
You gotta keep the meat. You gotta keep the, like, you bring out the appetizer and then you bring out the
Don't
entree.
tell me how to tell a dang story.
All right, go
I'll
ahead.
tell you how
I'm
to
just
tell
glad you guys
mine.
brought us on vacation with you.
Welcome to vacation.
Okay, if you're gonna finish it, finish. Otherwise, I'm gonna tell mine.
All right, so we're just watching this show. It does this commercial break blackness thing at a moment that felt like jarring, but like,
Appropriate.
okay, I guess we're doing this. And then it like happened again at like a really pivotal moment, and it was like, whoa, are they just like, because the episode deals with like memory loss, and it deals with people being enchanted with magic or some kind of witchcraft and seemingly not remembering things, and I was like, whoa, are they just like, you know, are they doing that to us? And so
and
it just
felt this. I agree.
and
It
we
was
were like, whoa, this is
wow,
crazy.
weird.
Yeah, we were totally in agreement about it. And then
So
like
embarrassing
and then it got to a
now.
point, it's not even it's like I don't understand. Like I think you're
It's
like
not
up,
like actual
I
embarrassing.
think like you're up here with like what happened, and I'm like way down here. I'm
I
like,
feel the opposite. You're the one that wants to make it a whole ordeal. My
no,
story
I'm
would've
just
been done
saying.
by now.
I just thought it would be an interesting anecdote to be like, we watched the whole episode, and then chunks of the whole episode were peppered with these millisecond
Like
to
blackouts.
2 second long, if that, blackout moments. And then it started happening like more frequently during the like action packed moment, and it
At the
just
end.
kept happening. And I'm like, all right, look, it was interesting at first, but now I'm just like,
We were so annoyed.
why
We're
are we
why are they
like?
doing
I'm like,
this
okay,
to
now
us?
I'm annoyed by it. Like now I don't like it.
How long did it take you to figure out it wasn't supposed to be
Well,
that way?
we watched the whole fucking episode, and then we were like, all right, well, now we got a time
No,
to
and
like
then Steve-
set up and shit. And then I went to the bathroom.
Steve stepped
and
away,
I was
came
like,
back.
I'm just gonna look on my app just to make. I'm gonna look on my phone just to make sure. I'm gonna watch it on a different thing to make sure that that's what was happening. Because I even went to Twitter and was like, I searched the hashtag Lovecraft Country, and I was just seeing if anybody was like
Those
also
blackouts.
bothered by that format and that shit that was happening. And so I was like, not finding anything, and I was like,
Your PlayStation?
well, I plugged my PlayStation into this TV in this place I've never been to in my life, and I don't know, mine must have, like... So the point is that I started watching it on my phone, and then nothing... Like, I watched the whole end sequence where he's, like, opening the Garden of Eden portal or whatever, and it was, like, completely... It didn't have any fucking blackout moments, and I'm like, ah, shit. So I come out of the bathroom, I go to Alana, and I'm like, I guess it's the HDMI cable. Like, I don't know. I don't know what happened, but this fucking TV I've never used in my life just decided to, like, black out. Like, maybe it's a racist TV and didn't want me to watch this great show.
I love that you came out of the bathroom hot with new information.
Oh, yeah. Well, we both felt like we were both on the same page about, like, figuring out if that's for sure what was happening.
Yeah.
So, like,
But,
I was like,
you know-
don't worry, I'm gonna check, I'll make sure.
But it happened so appropriately, like it wouldn't break up scenes that felt like it didn't belong,
No, it
and
felt
it did
like
break up
it was-
scenes that felt
yeah.
like it should be there.
It felt like it was on purpose.
So it really was like, oh, I guess it must be on purpose then.
So, like, I was like, fuck this TV and fuck this setup. That sucks.
Yeah,
and
so
Alana was
we
like, let's rewatch the whole episode.
We rewatched the like dramatic
Yeah,
parts
so
where we got
used
cut out.
AirPlay on the Apple TV and just did it from the app on my phone. And then we watched the whole ceremony
And the car accident.
uninterrupted. And then we went back to the car accident to watch the whole car accident. Because what happened was like, the second it impacts the, like, the
car.
the imaginary
Yeah.
wall, it
It
goes
went
black. It went like this.
Immediately.
And
It
it was
was so well timed.
It was like
And then it comes
it
back
was
and
like
Do
the
you
TV was
think-
trolling us.
it
Do you
truly.
think that the TV... Were you listening on the TV speakers?
Yes.
Do you think that in big loud moments, the TV speakers reverberated to a point that it shook the HDMI? And
I mean,
caused
we
it to cut
did.
in and out?
We did blast the audio because this TV, like, I
The
mean, no
levels are
offense
weird,
to this
so like
place.
the quiet is really too quiet.
You know when you put a TV up to like 100 and you still
Just
can't.
send them this as a review of the Airbnb.
the
My
rest of it is great.
my first time viewing episode
love
2
this
of
place.
Lovecraft Country was ruined. Like my review,
was ruined.
my review for this Airbnb is gonna be like, love the place, clean, wonderful.
Hate.
My first experience watching Lovecraft Country, the second episode, was riddled with HDMI issues, and it was ruined for me. But yeah, so anyway,
No,
I
but-
just couldn't wait to talk about it because I felt like if this is intentional, then this isn't okay. And at first I thought it was interesting, and now I'm annoyed by it because in the scene when he's running out of the house as it's like breaking and he's chasing that pregnant woman, who's
Hannah.
his
Who's definitely Hannah.
right.
So in those blackouts, it was jumping ahead.
No, it was
I mean,
just
it was just-
actually
it was
black
still
when
playing.
there was stuff playing.
So it was still playing, but we just couldn't see it for like a millisecond or a second.
At least a second. Those blackouts got long toward the end.
Yeah, it was like,
At least a second.
yeah,
Let's
at
be
least
real.
a second. But when she's running, when he's chasing his ancestor out of the house, following in his ancestor's footsteps, it was like cutting, like every few seconds, and I'm just like, can't I just watch this scene? Like, I just want to watch this scene. I want to see this. I'm like, this sucks. And then, like, when he goes outside and the whole house is falling apart, I'm like, man, those VFX artists must be so upset watching this right now, guys. We animated all of
That's
this
what
shit,
Steve
and they're
said,
cutting
and it
away.
killed me.
They're cutting to blackness for this stupid choice that they made in post. I was getting ready to be so fucking, like, movie, like,
Nerd
snob pissed
Yeah.
and be like, I appreciate you trying something new, but fuck you because I want to see this shit. It was just like such a fucking crazy experience, and it's already jumping around everywhere, and the episode already feels like the season finale of a show. Like we got everything. They hinted at a ceremony. They hinted at his connection to this ancestry and opening this portal to Eden and shit. And it's like, great, we've got the setup for the whole season now. He's gonna get out of this, and then they're gonna be chasing it. No, it's like it just all happens, and the bad guy dies, and literally everyone dies, and it's like, okay, I get, like, let's go, let's do this, you know. So anyway, it was already so big and confusing and jumpy, and that it just added to the chaos for us, and it was such a unique experience. But I still loved it. But and I'll shut up now and let other people talk. But I just wanted to get my thought of, I don't think it was as good as the first episode. The first episode was like, mwah, chef's kiss, perfect. This one, there were moments where, like, I don't know if HBO wasn't willing to put more of a budget into the visual effects, or some of those moments looked really distractingly bad.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like the snake
was pretty bad.
The snake was awful, and like
this is the kind of stuff I don't notice until someone else points it out, because I'm so not a visual effects gal.
Like creatures in seemingly broad daylight is kind of like a big no-no when you're making like monster movies.
Yeah.
Only in the sense that, like, these things would be so much scarier if we only saw them in shadow and quick glimpses, you know? And I'm not saying, like, this is how you make a good horror thing. It's just that, to me, when you show the whole fucking thing and it's bright and you get to really look at it, and they don't quite have the budget to make these, like, cinema movie quality visual effects, it's like, it took me out a little bit. But I love the story. I love where it's going. I love all the characters. I'm sad, but I'm confident that maybe Uncle George isn't dead. Like, I'm confident that maybe he's gonna come back. They did it a lot.
We caught that wave. We got that message last week that he was gonna die.
I don't think he's coming back.
They gave us an extra episode.
Right, and it was like, okay, they teased it, and they poked at a trope of, like, I'm retiring.
Poke-a-trope.
I'm retiring tomorrow from the force.
Poke-a-trope, go.
The poke-a-trope. Is that a trope? The retiring cop or something? What is that? but the point I'm trying to make is that it's interesting that you know, when you do things like you kill characters in the show and then you bring them back, like, right away, it takes away the kind of, like, power behind people being mortally wounded or in danger of being mortally wounded. And I think that I do like that they destroyed this magical palace and all those magical people are seemingly dead. And it seems like it seems like now they can't use the magic to heal, and maybe they were the only people with healing powers or something. And so I get that they closed that off really well. You know, in their own perspective, I'm sure they feel like they closed that off really well. But for me, it was like, it's just really tough to, like, kill people and bring them back in the same episode, and then you kill someone and it's supposed to be this hugely dramatic moment that I really wanted to feel, and I did feel from the performances. But from a story perspective,
you kept wondering if maybe there's a chance he'd come back, instead of being like, oh, he's dead, so he's dead.
Yeah, and I think that ambiguity is not
the death.
That ambiguity is not, like, cool or
it's just so uncool.
That's because we just watched The Leftovers.
Right.
Well,
We just want to mourn.
Right. I'd be surprised to
grieve.
hear what other people think about those critiques as well, but I just feel like if they hadn't killed several characters and brought them back to life in the episode, Uncle George's death might have been a little bit more impactful, and then finite and helpless and all that. But anyway, I'll stop talking. What did you think? What do you think, Alana?
I feel like I haven't even
processed
his death yet. I'm like, just give me a minute for the rest of it, sirs.
Well, yeah, Steve's right. It took away the impact of it.
What
It
did
took
you
away the
think?
impact.
Yeah.
I thought her death was more impactful, and then she was back like the next scene.
Yeah.
But overall, I felt the same way. I thought it was cool that this wasn't setting up the whole season, or it might be. I don't think they're all gone
Just in
yet.
little bits.
I think that the fact that this place is already burned down once and they rebuilt it just means they can do it again. The fact that we saw one of the little monsters get born feels like a beginning that we're gonna see more of.
Mhm.
I will say the biggest thing, just to start from the beginning, the Jefferson's intro
Oh, dude.
felt like a real Lindelof move.
I know, and I loved every second of it.
Very cool. I loved
I
it
was
too.
like,
And they're from Chicago.
they bring you right in with that, and everybody's having fun, and everyone, and then it shows who's the lead. What's the lead character's name?
The male one, Atticus.
Atticus. They show Atticus, and he's just like, this isn't right because he remembered everything, and they didn't remember everything. But that moment
It's Atticus,
was
right?
a perfect opening.
I'm not messing that up, is it?
I'm pretty sure, yeah.
Yeah.
They call him something else, so it's confusing.
Yeah, they call him
Tig, because that was like his nickname.
Addy or
His name is Atticus. Yeah.
They call him Tick.
Tick. That's right.
Sorry, I thought it was Tig.
No, that's Tig Notaro, baby.
Like Tickus.
Atticus. Yeah.
But overall, I think it's
And because he sucks blood.
fucking great. Did you watch the preview for the next episode?
Did we?
Yes. The kids
Yeah.
with the Ouija boards and stuff.
Oh.
Is this going to be like an anthology series?
I just think it's like
No, I
every
think that-
episode is a feature film and they're just slightly related.
So there's a show on Netflix that Ben Meckler wrote on called Kipo
yeah,
and the Age of the Wonder
Beast.
Beast.
Yeah.
It's so weird to compare this show to that show, but they did that type of thing where every episode told a story that could in itself have been the entire season
Or
arc,
something. Yeah.
but they just graduated it. But it told one like overarching narrative, and I feel like we're getting that. We're getting set up. We're getting little snippets that are going. We're getting little chapters that are going to add up to tell this big kind of cake.
I think that I like
story.
that. I like that.
But I
Yeah.
definitely don't know where we're going. Meaning,
I mean,
following
especially
this,
with that
I don't
preview.
know.
Yeah.
What's that?
I mean, especially with the preview, because it feels like there's like I mean, not to spoil too much for everybody, but this show, we're going to talk about things that are out there already, except for the book. We'll stay away from that stuff. But since the preview is out there, it kind of seemed like to me, like maybe there's a major passage of time in
Which
the next
isn't a
episode.
spoiler because that's very much a guess. It could be or could be not.
I mean, the fact that she,
It's-
like, bought a house and, like...
Yeah, but I think that's more telling of like something dramatic will happen to her with money because they kept referencing like, why do you have the money for this? I don't think it's. All I'm saying is that is an interesting and
yeah.
likely outcome, but I don't think they didn't make. There's no like age makeup or something. It's not clear that.
No,
for
I mean,
sure
I'm not
there's a
talking about, like,
passage of
20
time.
years later or whatever. I'm saying, like, maybe a year passes, you know? Because...
And I'm saying maybe they come back in, and the very next thing that happens is because of all that happening, she gets given money, and then she goes home and buys a house, and that's. I mean, that could happen just.
I mean,
as
if all of
easily
that
to me.
happens in one episode and it's meant to be, like, the next day after Uncle George died, I'm going to be like, okay, what's going on with this show? This is a
Listen, that's already how I feel about the show. I'm just saying,
little...
expect anything.
I mean, truly,
Ultimately,
they found
I was-
Atticus's dad so quickly, and then they, like...
Yeah.
It's like, whoa, this is the season finale. Like, I don't know why I kept feeling that way.
Well, because
I was a little bummed out by this episode, I'll be honest.
Really? Tell more.
It
Tell
didn't-
more.
It felt like it didn't add on to what the first episode set up as far as
Yeah.
like stakes and momentum. It had kind of a like it felt like a little bit of a step backwards, and as just in as much as it didn't feel like we really learned anything, it felt like we learned a lot about a lot of things.
Yeah.
But we didn't learn about what the show is about. Which
Yeah.
is where I really wanted it to go, is to keep compounding on like the end of the first episode had such a momentum, and this second episode doesn't feel like it added on to that momentum. It sort of just took you in a different direction and then brought you back to where you started in a weird way.
Yeah.
It also had moments that were like felt very like, I don't want to say CW, but it had weird like when the camera went out of one window and came in the other window, it was like Harry Potter. It didn't have, I felt like, the same sort of like 60s vibe that I was really getting from the
Yeah.
first episode. It had a more modern visual aesthetic, and I wasn't over the moon about that. But
And definitely more sci-fi.
aside from that,
more
I thought it was really fun.
Yeah, I mean, it's a great show. I'm still on board. I'm not like, I don't hate the show or whatever. But I agree that, like, it just seems like they grounded things in reality in a careful way in the first episode. And they gave us, like, historically accurate things. And they gave us, like, a taste of Jim Crow era America racism, and that felt really topical and natural and organic and good and real. And then when they bring the monsters in, it's like, oh fuck, I mean, this show is going to be about who the real monsters are, and it's led by an amazing cast and filmmakers and crew and whatever, and I was like on board for that. But then it's like, oh well, but now it's like, well, now we got magic, and we got portals, and we got the Garden of Eden, and we got
the Illuminati, and we got all
we've got
these other
cults
things.
and weird
And
peasant
nobody
towns.
seemed to think this was weird. Like it bugs me a little bit when during that era, when Atticus is banging on the force field door.
Yeah.
He isn't like his brain isn't melting inside of
Right.
his skull, because that's so outside the realm of possibility.
Right, because the monsters are
That's
like
true.
Those monsters could have been hiding in the forests, and maybe some kind of ceremony brought them out, and you've seen them murder people before your eyes. You're making an observation that there's possibly monsters are real, and maybe that's real. But yeah, once you're like imaginary magic door, and also like
anything's possible.
But and then also
Yeah.
like the like hallucinations, the tests, whatever the hell that was, the
yeah.
dinner entertainment, like to me it seemed like they got invited, like people got invited to an event where you can watch people have like a trip out, I guess, and it's like,
I mean, I think that's the downfall.
why did they freak out about that? Like they just had a moment where they're like, they're just trying to get in our heads.
Because
And it's
that's the downfall.
You
of
murdered
having
somebody.
So much happen in one episode is like all of it loses impact.
Well,
There's no time to process. The characters aren't processing it really either. It's just kind of like end next.
I do think this is the type of episode that when we're done with the season, we'll look back on and it'll make more sense.
I hope
It'll
so. I
feel
think that'd be
more
great. Yeah.
a part of the series. I think because we have such a small amount of episodes to draw from, we're comparing it directly to episode 1. I feel like if this is where the show's going, this kind of like anything is possible. I think that could be really fun.
Mm-hmm.
And he was referencing that book about the pig people.
Yeah.
The Tales from the Borderland.
Yeah.
I'm just wondering, like, to what degree are we going to get into it? Like, how crazy is it going to get?
Yeah.
So to that end, this might be like a very grounded episode by the end of the season.
Truly, and I don't think it was that bad, just by comparison with the first.
I just think that
I liked
just
it.
think
I thought
that
it was a good episode of TV in general, for sure.
totally. I mean, there's amazing things happening, and they're very Lovecraftian and bizarre. You know, they're performing surgery and removing a piece of that guy from Ghost.
And it looked like his liver. And you're like, so can he just like?
Well, that's what
Grow
he fed
another
to them
one?
later, right? Or that's what he
Yeah, but
offered?
like, what was it? It was his liver? He can just live without his liver?
Well, he can bring people back from the dead. So.
But I like it because it's
Can
like
he grow a
it's,
new one?
it's
That's
got like
true.
a
And he could step up off the operating table immediately.
I
No
mean,
anesthesia. Like something's going on.
I mean, definitely they're like, I love that he was like wizards. He like Morse coded wizards to his uncle, like they're wizards or something. Like
his
that's the
uncle
best
who
I could
could
describe
be his
them.
dad.
I mean, yeah, or
So
or,
many things.
Yeah, or just I don't know. There's a lot going on there, but I'm on board.
I guess you're right. I think this episode felt rushed. I felt like they were rushing the story to get it in one episode.
Which makes me feel like if we're getting like slices of their like
Cake.
environment or slices of their story in like little chunks, and each one is like a piece of history of them, you know, battling some sort of supernatural thing, with racial overtones and civil overtones, civil rights overtones, and all those things, then that's cool. But I just would like to feel clear about that, because it's like, for a moment you think like, okay, this is going to be about him trying to find his dad. That's what this show is about. He's trying to find his dad, and he's going to learn that he's part of a secret society where they fight Lovecraft monsters or something. But no matter what, we're moving towards the goal of him finding his dad. And it's like, well, there's his dad. We found him. And it's like, okay, so
I don't totally understand how they found the dad. Like, they were looking in that tunnel, and then the dad came up from the ground, and then they drove up and got him.
Okay, so...
Well, we watched that part twice, so we can tell you.
Okay.
Well, here's what I got out of...
I can tell you.
Out of viewing number 2.
The weirdest thing was, the uncle was, like, straight up, like...
Yeah, what's the book?
When he saw the big stone structure, they were like, well, this must be your prison. And which, you know, if you're a learned, smart person and you read a lot and you know about,
certainly, especially in an older man in the 50s, 60s,
and how,
because,
like,
you would have knowledge from certainly the 1800s even.
Yeah, and like how they built, and how prisons were stone because they couldn't, easy, harder to escape from or whatever.
History, I don't know.
But the fact that he was like, that must be their prison, and that's where your
dad
is.
No, it's because he said that must be their prison, and then after, which...
No. Before they got to the Count of Monte Cristo thing,
in
that
first
same
thing he said was,
yeah.
that must be their prison, and then she takes them inside, and they see the pigs, and they come out, and he said, that has a stone floor, and it shouldn't have a stone floor if it's just that structure. There's a basement.
But I guess for
and
me,
then
it's
they,
like...
So they're kind of like, oh, so they definitely are keeping some kind of secret in the basement.
But what I didn't get out of that was like... I mean, maybe I wasn't paying attention to something from the first episode, or maybe I missed something in the first episode, but... I mean, maybe in the letter to Tick, there was like... Well, maybe in the letter to Tick, there was a thing that was like, I'm in a prison or something, you know? Like, maybe I missed that.
No, I think he got taken to the... Remember, he's been gone for 2 weeks, they said, or earlier in the episode?
I just don't, like, I guess I'm just not connecting in my head.
Yeah.
And again, maybe I missed
Overall,
something.
like,
but the fact that they zeroed in on that's
right.
where his dad is, and that's, like, where they keep prisoners, and something led them specifically to that's where he is, to the point where even after they had their, like, shocking dinner where he reveals to us and seemingly to Tick that he's, like, he
In
can
the lineage.
order them around, and he's like a fucking, like, the second they were done with that, like, amazing scene, they go right back to that place to see if the dad is there. And I just don't get what was, like, super pulling them to that place. But the the Count of Monte Cristo thing is that the Count of Monte Cristo escaped from his prison by, like, removing the stones from the wall and sneaking out and tunneling out.
And that's why they knew the dad.
But, like,
that.
why did he just go, like, Count of Monte Cristo's his favorite book? He must have gone through the tunnel. It's like that. It just...
No, I
so
completely
flimsy
agree
to
with
me.
you. There's a lot of, like, kind of guesswork that becomes solid in a heartbeat that you're like, wow, why is there so much confidence behind this certainly a guess moment?
Yeah.
Definitely, there's a lot of that.
Yeah.
But I think a big part of that is because there's so much packed into one episode. There's no space to have any other evidence or thoughts or whatever. Like the perfect example you just said, they go into this room with all these white men who are doing this cult thing, and we don't even get to hear any weirdness and understanding from them, because immediately the uncle dad comes forward and is just like, here's all this stuff, by the way, I'm being really radical here.
I mean,
and I'm
but
like,
that
that's
was
very
okay,
dangerous. Why would that even be your first choice of something to do there? And then immediately they leave, and then immediately this happens, and now we learn this, and now we got this. Like, there's no time to be like,
but that
okay,
scene, that,
how does that affect you?
But I think that scene when he's, like, standing in front of a room full of white dudes and not feeling intimidated anymore, I think he earned that moment. I think that moment felt right to me, because if he learned all of this from that fucking book, then he knows without a shadow of a doubt that Tick is truly in control in this moment.
Yeah.
And I think they earned that moment to be like, listen to us now.
No, but this is where I don't get it, because again, back to the assumptions becoming like certainty all of a sudden. just him reading some old book doesn't mean that that's like the Bible they go by. Like, what's written in the Bible, there are so many versions of Christianity that do a version of the Bible or a version of the Bible. He found one book without any dudes around, without double checking with anyone, and was like, oh, it says anyone in the lineage. Guaranteed, it doesn't say even if you're black, even if you're of lower class in this era and time. It doesn't say any of that shit in that book. And he goes and he's still like, no, I have the assumption I can just speak in front of everyone. And he's not like scared for his life a little bit in doing that, because like, what if they're like, yeah, but that book was written a while ago and it doesn't count anymore? Like, who knows?
I totally hear you. I just feel like of all the things to nitpick.
Oh no, I'm just saying it's an example of the whole episode structure.
Yeah, I just feel like that of all the things to nitpick in this episode, like I'll totally buy that, like that book is their guidebook and he learned it and that's what that's their trump card, you know, like you know.
Okay, I would, and I also would just go along with it if there weren't so many of those where I'm like, okay, wait a minute.
I'm just having a hard time with like the loose. The stuff that maybe in the writer's room would feel like, hey, let's not worry about that shit. Like, we got more important shit to talk about. And it just
feels like it was like a 180 to 200 page script for this episode. And they were like, it has to be an hour.
Right.
So
just
start cutting stuff out.
Yeah. They were like,
can it be 3 episodes? It's like, no, it's one episode.
No.
Or they're like, they had their like episodes all in order, and this truly was the finale. Like, this is the 12th episode. But they're like, what if we just chop the whole thing into like chunks of the history of these characters? And then,
I mean, talk about a time jump. The next episode could be before all this happened.
It could have been episode 1.
This could be their prep stories. Who knows?
I mean, I'll give them benefit of the doubt because it's a lot of amazing people working on this show, and this show is great.
Yeah.
So,
and I'd rather have too much good stuff than not enough good stuff.
Exactly. I agree.
Yeah, there's the biggest thing wrong with this episode is how good the first episode was.
Right.
100%.
Before Brett, is there anything else you want to bring up? Anything else you want to talk about before we jump into the themes? And
mean, it's like I could talk about this episode all day.
Yeah.
But I also feel like I'm wasting my breath a little bit because so much of it is like, I don't know.
We don't have the whole picture.
I don't know. Yeah. I don't even know who that woman was in his uncle's room.
Yeah, and we don't have anybody.
Is that his real mom? I don't know.
Conceivably, it's a relative of his, a distant relative, perhaps. Maybe it's his mom. We don't know.
No. Oh, I guess. Oh, yeah, I think it's definitely his mom.
That was a journey.
There are like so many people and moments and like pulling them all together into my brain in one.
My thing is like,
I definitely think that's his mom.
We don't have someone on this show to be like, just wait, just buckle up.
So you're gonna take that
so
this is
good.
What it.
We're like going
this
into
is what the episode felt like. It felt like I got to a hotel room, I unpacked all my stuff, and then Jamie was like, we got to go to a different hotel room now. And I'm like, I was just about to sit down and really get invested in this house with all this weird shit going on.
And
now
we've been driving for so long, and I'm tired.
I was about to go to the pool. I had my suit on.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's where I'm at right now. Is I'm like, okay, we'll get the shit back in the suitcase. Let's go. What happens next?
We better be getting a suite because I don't want to pack this shit back up and just go to the room next door.
I mean, I was excited. I was like, oh my god, there's hidden passageways. There's
I'm like, let's spend the whole season
magic.
in this house.
I know. And
people
then it
don't remember
burns
the
down.
monsters.
It's just like everybody expects something to be the way they want it to be. When you go to see a superhero movie, if you're like a huge superhero fan, you're like, I know the way I want Batman to be. I know the way I love Batman. And you go see Batman Forever or Batman and Robin, and you're like, that's not Batman. That's not Batman. That's not Batman I love.
That's not Batman
That's
I love.
a messed up Batman. That's a wrong Batman. And, you know, when you think about a show that's like obviously inspired by Lovecraftian things and is based off of a thing that has Lovecraft, you know, it's based off a book called Lovecraft Country, so you know there's Lovecraft shit there. You have you have this idea that you're just gonna jump into this badass Lovecraft show, and then they show you that it sort of is in the first episode, And then the next episode is like, I mean, again, and I don't know too much about a lot of Lovecraft stuff. Maybe there is a bunch of like culty witchcraft shit, because I know there are people that worship Cthulhu, and
I think there is. I think that is very Lovecraft.
yeah, I mean, I guess I just wasn't expecting it.
Okay.
And I think it's not fair to be like, I want it to be what I expected it to be, and then be like disappointed.
Yeah.
It's nobody knows what this show is going to be. Nobody has seen this show before. We're all watching it together for the first time, and we're going to be like careful because we want it to be good. I'm rooting for it. I'm a cheerleader for this show,
Me
big
too.
time.
All three of us are, I think.
I absolutely adore the concept. I love everybody involved. Everyone's beautiful and gorgeous.
Brett's cheering.
Yeah, we're all
You know.
cheerleaders for this show. It's just like it's just that there's a slight misstep in this episode from a perspective of where the trajectory it felt like we were
As
going
compared
for
to episode 1
in the first
especially.
episode. But it's not fair to be like, oh no, so I'm not worried yet. So I'm putting my faith in these people because they're amazing people. But we should talk really quickly about the name of the episode and then what that's based on. The episode is called Whitey on the Moon. And I guess it's based off of, it is based off of a 1970s spoken word poem by Gil Scott Heron.
That's what it looks like.
From memory. Great job, Alana. And it was on an album, on his debut album, I guess, called Small Talk at 125th and Lenox.
That just
And
feels like 1970. I love it.
it tells of the medical debt and poverty experienced during the Apollo moon landings. The poem critiques the resources spent on the space program while Black Americans were experiencing marginalization. Whitey on the Moon was prominently featured in the 2018 biographical film about Neil Armstrong, First Man. And
Wow.
I had never heard it, and from what I heard, it is incredibly powerful. It's an incredibly, currently, unfortunately, still relevant commentary in the poem, and it's beautiful and thought-provoking, and you can feel the pain and the struggle in the words, and I thought it was so beautifully added to a scene where they're like using this black man to like
Yeah.
open up the Garden of Eden so that this guy can live forever or whatever, and these are all people that are clearly taking advantage of their position of power, and something we see a lot today, and they saw a lot
Yeah,
in the
and their
70s
goals
as well.
are to live forever when like other people's goals are to live.
to live.
be
Yeah,
able
to
to
just live
survive.
once really well.
It really says
To have a
is
fraction of
substantial.
what these people have. And
Like
it's
the fact that
very
they would
powerful
want to live
stuff.
forever is so.
Yeah, and
Privilege.
look, I love when you introduce a villain and you're like, fuck yeah, this guy's crazy. He's scary, he's intimidating, he's mysterious. And then like 15 minutes later, you just fucking kill him and he's gone. Like, I'm a big fan of that. But I'm also like, I guess I'm a glutton for punishment. I just want to know what we're heading towards in this show. And I don't know if by episode 2 you're supposed to definitely know. Yeah, I don't know. My brain's going everywhere, but I just really loved the poem.
Me
I'm
too.
so happy to be introduced to so many things that I embarrassingly was unaware of. Especially the first episode, the sun. What is it called? Sunlight, or sorry for getting it wrong, but it's
I'm not sure.
what was it called? Hang on. It's called Sundown. A sundown town is something that I was not fully aware of, and this show's bringing to light a lot of very important historical things and very important pieces of art from amazing artists, American artists, and people of color. And I think that's wonderful. It's a wonderful way to share these beautiful, amazing things while telling an incredible story and having fun and being cheeky and scary and full of horror and gore and all those things. I'm in. I'm in. I love the show. Love the name of the episode. Love the poem. Like, I want to read more about these things. I want to learn more about these things, and this is a great way to learn about all of these things, I think.
Yeah.
I love that.
And I think if you're not Well, it's not, I think. If you're not watching the show, if you're not respecting the format, just go and find a video of that poem spoken. Because it's a little, I think it's more powerful to hear it spoken than written than to read it yourself. It's called Whitey on the Moon.
Yeah.
Please go listen. Whoa, very powerful. That's the kind of stuff that started, like, those moments of that kind of intense, powerful spoken poetry are the moments that created slam poetry, which I know is now kind of like a little bit queasy almost, because it gets a little, it's a little twisted to the point where it's a little cringy sometimes, but really good spoken word poetry, really good slam poetry is still incredible. And there's a reason it got to the cringe factor, because so many people had such incredible, moving
things to say.
Poems, spoken poems, the way they said them were so... I remember in high school going to spoken word poetry things, slam poetry things, and just being like, oh my... Like, it's hard to go to a live show of something.
Well, it's just like anything. If it's done well, it's like, it's really impactful and emotional. And
right, but like, you don't go to a museum personally... I love museums, but I don't go to a museum and feel the same amount that I feel at a slam poetry thing, or back in the 2000s at a slam poetry thing event. And even now, there are so few artistic things that give as much impact, especially in the period of time, as like a really good spoken poem. Ugh, chills, everything.
Yes, 100%.
And it worked in this show just the same way.
I love this comment from Reddit. Someone just said, honestly, what the fuck is this show? What up with the island?
Full stop. What up with the island? What up with the house?
Fresno Gandalf says, what up with the island? That's one of my favorite things. Okay, all right. Well, Alana, you want to talk about your themes really quick, if you have them?
Well, I just
and we can move on to clips.
I had something else I wanted to say, but I totally lost it.
Well, if you remember
in that
it, please.
Spew. But I will say, respectful spew, that you guys know the white girl who is the daughter in the movie?
Oh, the model. You're talking about the model, the daughter of the guy from Ghost?
Christina, I think.
Christina Vicky Barcelona.
Yeah, she is a model. I believe her name is Abby Lee Kershaw. I know it's Abby Lee, but I don't know. I haven't checked up on her last name, but she was very popular back when I read a lot of magazines.
Excuse me.
Anyway, she does so many weird, now that she started acting, does so many weird, interesting things. Like she did Neon Demon.
Ah, yeah. That's right. You did say that.
She was in Fury Road, right? Mad Max?
Yes, and she was in Mad Max.
She was one of the girls with Furiosa?
Yeah, she was one of the girls.
I don't remember. I think I looked her up last week after the trailer. Yeah.
But anyway,
or after she popped out of the car.
And she's Australian, I believe. This is, again, still from memory. But
Jamie Jones.
I just want to talk about how we feel about her character just a little bit. Because I'm not sure, like, at first I was like, oh, I don't know. She's like weird, mysterious. And then I felt like, oh, she's going to represent kind of like the like daughters of rich people, basically, very specifically. Like, you're kind of just this like plaything on the wall. You don't really have a job or whatever, but at least your life isn't being fucking threatened all the time. And then her performance kind of confused me a little. I don't know. I was just wondering if you guys had any thoughts, because of all the things, I really wasn't sure about my feelings at all about
I just feel like
role
we're gonna need more time.
Okay.
Like,
we haven't seen
my
the last
thought is
of her.
we're gonna need more time. Yeah. I'm not sure.
They set her up to be like, she's not 100% down with what her dad was doing, and what, he even says like, clearly we don't see eye to eye.
And he asked her for help. And she seemed to be dealing with that.
Well, I feel like the most impactful moment of her in there is when she tells him, when she's putting the ring on him, and she tells him, I'm very much paraphrasing, but like, how they want your future to be is not how it has to be. Like, you can create your own, make your own shit, and don't just do what feels like it's made for you to do.
Classic daughter of a powerful man archetype of like...
Yeah, maybe that's why I'm confused, because I'm like, is she just that archetype? So maybe so far she is, and that's cool.
It seems to be like in that moment you get that she's classic daughter of a powerful man archetype, but more complex, you know, a little bit more complex than that, because she's also gets sort of like a pleasure out of like hurting people, and she kind of got.
Do you think she does?
Well, I mean, she locked him in the room and she wouldn't let him come out, and she was like, seemed like she took some sort of like.
I don't think that was about her at all. I think.
But you know, it's not like she's going like, I'm sorry, I'm doing this. It seemed like she was just like, whatever, you're locked in your room now, and I'm gonna watch you fight this imaginary woman or this person from your past, and I'm just gonna stand here drinking.
To me, she just feels like the prisoner who.
Exactly, classic daughter.
Well, she feels like the prisoner
man,
who has found her life will be easier if she just goes along with it and pretends.
Yeah,
rather than the prisoner who's like always trying to break free every second. She's like, if I play nice, maybe they'll give me a water tonight.
She's obviously playing into what her father wants, but internally she's struggling with it. Like you can, again, classic powerful father-daughter archetype. Anyway.
So maybe I just was overly, because reading into it then.
Well, if you think of more, please bring it up, but I think we should jump into clips. What do you think, Brett?
Clips!
Let's go for some clips!
You got yourself a fish biscuit.
Magic fucking hooks.
Jackpot.
Shh, Kevin. 16, 23, 42, 4, 8, 15, 16, please, Kevin. 42, 4, 8, 15, 16, 23, 42, 4, Kevin, 8, please. 16, 23, 42, 4, 8, 15, 16. Kevin!
I say fuck to
Time for some clips.
Let's find your bird.
Want a cheeseburger?
All right.
Want a cheeseburger?
I only heard parts of that, so fingers crossed.
Well, let's thank Discord for that. Proud sponsor of the podcast.
So I did my best with clips. There's not as many.
Oh, no, that's okay. Full disclosure, Brett, thank you for always, Brett's the best clip boy. He's our clip boy.
He's 100%.
He grabs the clips. It's not
best.
easy to do. And it's a lot of work, and I provided him with no clip fodder today.
Yeah, he not only literally grabs the clips,
he carried the whole team,
but he's the one that like recognizes the moments of clips more often, because the clips that he puts in the pile are always like double, triple what we have suggested. Yeah, and it's really hard on a show like this that obviously that's so real and serious. And
Brett, I just have to say that your back is looking incredibly muscular from all the carrying of this team.
I don't know if I want to be this responsible for every clip.
I know, I definitely want to pull more next time.
I'm not saying that, like, I'm just
No, I mean, like, in case there's a bad clip, I don't want everybody to know.
Don't worry
just
about it.
Come to me.
Listen,
come to the old clip boy.
I am in no place to say anything here is bad if I am not providing any myself. So, with that said...
And no clip is a bad clip.
Here's the first clip.
That stupid, meddlesome, troublemaking bitch Eve brought entropy and death.
Yeah!
I'm very happy you got that one.
That bitch Eve.
Alana's face?
Yeah, what was Alana's face? Alana's face was like that the whole episode. It was mostly this and this.
And also, like, when the black was happening, blackouts, just being like, this sucks.
Next clip.
It's a spell. It's a spell.
Oh! Incredible! I want that to be my life's clip, too.
I was like... When he was just like he jumped at the thought that it was a spell, I was like, oh, she's gonna laugh at him and be like, you're wrong. But like the fact that he like nailed it so perfectly.
And the separation between them having forgotten, sorry, this is making me think of when they were like, oh, we don't know what happened last night. And he's like, well, all this crazy shit happened. And they're like, oh, okay, maybe. They're not like, that's impossible. I get it. Like, they're a little, behind his back. Like,
that's
is he okay?
If they had 3 episodes to unpack this, there would be a lot of like, maybe he's going crazy. Like, maybe he's having it. Like, even with us, the viewer, would have to be like, did any of that happen?
Right.
And then,
did
like,
he kill the sheriff last night?
Exactly. And then, like, 2 minutes later, he's fine.
Sheriff?
Yeah.
They're like, oh, I remember all the things. And we never had the moment of, like, are they losing trust in him? What's the
Well, they did have that moment where they were like,
They
when
talk
people come
behind
back
his
from the
back a
war,
little,
you get
yeah.
shell shocked or whatever, and it's like they could have really stretched that out. And
But I don't like that. That's a trope that I'm not.
I
wild
agree.
about.
I agree.
I agree,
I expected
and
them
I am
to stretch
happy
it
with
out.
that.
The fact that it was resolved a minute later was like
It's kind of interesting. It's different.
It's fine. It's just again like when you're rushing everything, it feels like I miss so many things, and then
The problem is you aren't emotional. It's not about processing it literally in your brain. You're not feeling the emotions as much because you're just constantly going up and down. It doesn't feel... You're not feeling what's happening in their relationships and with the characters and in their own bodies and minds as much. I think. That's what I think.
all right.
And I remembered my thing when clips are done.
Okay, next clip.
My father and his associates would never fraternize with the clan. They're too poor.
Okay, not that we disagree
like
with
that.
them. They're just too poor.
Yeah.
God! And turn to stone.
Again, like those moments where she's like, she seems disconnected
I think
emotionally.
she's making it much-
They're not
as much
giving us.
poking at her father's fucking group
Sure,
as she
sure.
is anything else when she says that.
But also remember, she saved them in episode 1.
Yeah,
Or pulled
she
in
did
front of
say
it.
that she saved
But she
them,
did have
yeah.
to save them because she was bringing him there for her dad.
Yeah,
So-
I think they're really kind of setting her up in a way that's ambiguous right now, and if they went either way with her, like if she's just evil and she's gonna be a villain, like maybe she's the villain of the show, then that's cool. But if she turns into like an ally, she helps them, she defies her, upbringing or whatever, that's cool too. But it's just, you could go either way with that character at this point, I feel like.
I mean, I think the reason I'm most interested is if it's not obvious, I obviously relate to her most, like that kind of archetype and that character. I'm not like a rich daughter, but
I still don't know if you're good or evil yet.
Right.
the feeling of feeling
Nobody
like,
does.
Nobody does. She was found in a toadstool on a planet far away from here.
This one, but no, that feeling of being like, it's easier to, and maybe you're gonna have more progress with what you want to get towards by just like becoming friends with all the things around you, even if they're really like shitty. I don't know, I feel like I've played that game a lot in my life. That's usually the angle I go for, so I really relate to her character. And
best
obviously
part
the feminist shit she said, I'm like, yeah, I can relate directly to that.
I mean, her
experience.
general distaste in her father's feelings about Eve and Adam
and
and
having
Eve,
distaste about
and her
like whiteness
obvious
in that way too. I'm like, same.
Yeah, her obvious issue with it
Mm-hmm.
is like endearing to the character, because you're like, obviously this
Well,
is
that-
this
she's-
Adam and Eve shit is very misogynistic and very,
Sure.
it's not very equal.
Yeah.
Anyway, final
Next
clip. Final clip.
I want everybody except Samuel to get up and get the fuck out.
That's the one we were gonna. That was the one clip that.
That's the
when
one?
when Alana was like clip, I was like absolutely, but Brett's gonna get it.
He says that. He says
I
that
just love the way
every
he says
single
it.
time.
I mean,
Every
we were
single time
so
he goes,
aligned on
"Brett's
the
got
first
it, Brett's
episode,
got
though. We were so aligned on clips in the first episode, and Brett and I, our periods have synced up on this show. Essentially,
That's true.
We kind of know.
Just over Zoom calls, our periods.
It's incredible. I'm really amazed by it.
Y'all got a circadian rhythm,
All right.
not a monthly rhythm.
Well, I really
Deal.
love
My
this
father and his associates.
or this clip.
It's a spell. It's a spell.
It's a spell.
That one
love
should be
that clip,
reused quite a
guys,
bit. All right, should we
guys.
jump into emails?
No, I have remembered the thing
Oh.
I wanted to say.
Okay.
So you
Back to Alana's thoughts.
Back
Play
to
the
Alana's
theme again.
Sorry, I have so much to think.
Ah!
I actually think somebody made a theme. Okay, I'll wait.
Oh, there is a theme for your notes.
Should I wait for the theme?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. Emails.
It's not really my notes. It's just a random thing. But
Your top.
Bop, 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 bop,
Look
bop.
who's here.
Fuck your daughter.
I don't give a fuck, Beckety Boo. I don't give a fuck, Beckety Boo. I don't give a.
You need to shoot him.
it's a spell.
All
It's a
right.
spell.
This first email comes from Spencer Clayweg. He says, hey guys, I know we just finished The Leftovers, but somebody just posted this to the Lost subreddit. I don't want to play it if it's Lost spoilers, so I'll have to vet
Spence.
it. But thank you
Plug
for
your
the
ears,
email.
Alana.
Is that how you want to do it? Is that how we should do it?
No.
Oops. We're going to stay
No,
away
just-
from it. I'm sorry, Jesse, but we'll check it out. Was that Jesse? No, next one's Jesse. Jesse says, hello, friends. Jesse Stillwell says, we can't stop here. This is Lovecraft country. Which is a wonderful reference to
What's it a reference to? I don't know.
Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas.
Oh,
When Johnny Depp's character says,
my
we
glasses
can't
are a
stop
little
here.
tight.
It's backcountry.
Oh, yeah.
Jesse Stillwell says, hello, friends. I couldn't watch along with The Leftovers because of free time, crippling work commitments. But I have plans to revisit those episodes. Okay, that being said, I am in as fuck on Lovecraft country. This show feels like it's going to be one for the ages. Directing, writing, cinematography, sound design, costume design, everything is immaculate. And at just the right time for the narrative. I'm also glad Owen is back, even though I get him mixed up with Alana. Maybe you weren't really listening, but he said he'd come back sometimes. Maybe they could announce who's speaking or something. I don't know. I'll adapt eventually. Happy Dumb as Fuck 2020. Internally screaming, let's get the fuck out of here in every public place I've ever been. Jesse Stillwell. Thank you, Jesse. You're a good boy.
Are you screaming in your heart, Jesse, though?
This Beto.
That is like Owen being back for one episode, for the first episode. That is Owen being back. He might never come back.
That's true. That's
But
as
he hasn't
that's
said
as
anything
Owen
since
came.
he came back.
That's as much as Owen coming back as we're gonna get, I think.
No, I'm hoping.
But if you expect that and then he comes back,
Exactly. You get a nice Christmas
Exactly.
present just around Christmas time.
Beto Guevara, our good friend of the show, says Lovecraft Country notes from episode 102. He says, hey boys, notes on the first episode. This show is good and I'm in love with Letty. Everybody is.
Yeah.
The butler brought salt without Leticia letting him know what she
Asking
wanted.
for it.
I didn't even notice that. It's probably because of the
Yeah.
blackouts. I honestly think we had blackouts there. That must have been it.
I mean,
Because I didn't see the butler come back at all.
I did.
She rang the bell, and then he looked at her, and she's like, I need salt. White people don't salt their food. And then he brought salt. But he didn't come and ask what she needed.
But he brought salt while
But
they were
I think-
talking. Two guys were off talking then?
Yeah, but they
No,
said that
all
they were
three of
being,
them were out back eating. It
but
was
they
the
said
lunch.
that they were being watched.
I know, but the
so
two
maybe
guys like
someone
kind of
was
went
listening.
off and spoke separately. Whatever. I'll have to rewatch it.
Sound
I guess.
alert! That stupid, meddlesome, troublemaking bitch Eve. Well,
My father-
Which one is
This
it?
first
Is
one.
this
That
one?
stupid, meddlesome, troublemaking bitch Eve brought entropy and death.
Okay, but did y'all saw that painting with Adam and Eve fucking, and Adam had a snake instead of a penis? How could we have missed that?
The blackouts did
It
not
was-
stop that.
Oh, okay, now Fake Tick has one. Got it. This is so good. They make you think that the White Wizard is gonna be the main bad guy for the season, and now he's just gone. That's amazing. Is he gone for real, though?
I know.
Yes.
Anna, tell us.
I think he's gone. His daughter, we didn't see his daughter, and she wasn't allowed because it's only the boys.
Our little
So
boy.
I guess
So maybe
She
she escaped,
escaped.
yeah.
I do think she escaped.
Man, that's the guy from Ghost. The asshole Carl from Ghost. You remember Ghost?
Oh my god, he is there.
Yeah, I love that.
Ghost.
Is he gone for real? Okay, I know we were sure he was gonna die last episode, so we kind of had an extra episode with Uncle George, but it really sucks because the back and forward with him and Tick's dad was so good.
Yeah.
Sorry, guys, but it's about 4 a.m., and I don't think I'll be watching the episodes and writing in on time every week.
Time
zones suck. I'll see what I can write in. That's not episode specific from time to time. Also, did one of them monsters fucked that poor cow? Don Beto.
I can't wait to find out
I mean,
how that
That's a good
happens.
question.
I don't know, but I
Or
do
do they
know.
inseminate it? They could artificially inseminate it.
That's what I was
my friend
thinking.
Manzi DeYoung worked on this show, and shout out to Manzi, who I tried to get on the show and said, "You want to talk about what you did on the show?" And she's like, "I don't have anything interesting to say." And then like hours later, she tweeted, "Oh, I actually made a prosthetic vagina for the cow." It's for a birthing scene, and then she quote tweeted a tweet she made like a year ago when she made it, and it was really ambiguous. It was just like, I made like a cow's vagina
Today?
for a TV show today. This is my life. And it's like, how could you not think that's interesting?
I know.
How could you not think that we could get something interesting out of that observation, that you made that cow vagina? Manzi, you're great. I know you're not listening, but you're great. But isn't that funny? I thought we could call her and be like, anything to say about the vagina? But
Well, I think
she didn't want to be on the show.
she said everything she wanted to say.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Dan the Man sends an email saying, Lovecraft Country, Whitey's on the moon. What in tarnation's kind of brainwashing, memory erasing, organ eating, secret heritages, Bible quoting, secret spellbinding doors, cow birthing monsters, magic fucking rooms, magic fucking hugs, Korean warrior popping, Narnia wardrobes, secret libraries, fake snake in trousers, white people watching, Letitia fucking Lewis don't get scared,
That's the
Count
other
of
clip I
Monte
wanted.
Cristo referencing, car crushing invisible wall, Marilyn Manson, Letty reviving, Tesla coil looking, portal opening to the Garden of Eden, castle crumbling kind of episode was that?
That deserves sounds. Yeah. Please.
Very nice. Very nice. So what in the world was that all about? I am still in, but man, that was a lot of information. Can't wait to hear what you guys have to say. Miami Dan signing off. Hashtag Brett yes. Hashtag Alana yes. Hashtag Letitia fucking Lewis. Where's that clip? Where is it?
Hashtag
Oh yeah,
good
there was
morning.
a second one in this episode.
Wait, no.
No, I don't know. Oh, is that it?
Wait, no. Say that again one more time. Did I hear that right? Who's empty asses?
No, I
Yeah.
can't remember. That was it? Oh, that's it. Yeah.
That's it,
Whatever.
yeah.
That was it. Just imagine him saying it at the end. And hashtag good morning.
Spot on. That's what we said
Oh,
about
we
the
skipped
episode.
the new Alana theme song. Why did we do that?
I don't know, Steve.
Alana's Notes theme song, Hi BBB, Foghorn, Born Boys, and Two Honk Summer Gal. This is my second time writing into the show. The first being for the Leftover Season 1 finale, in which I said I would make y'all a jingle for Alana's Notes. It only took me until the next season of the First Time Show and your renewed interest for me to get around to it. But I think it came out pretty decent. I love The Leftovers, and overall what you guys are doing with this podcast is really awesome. Keep it up. Attached below is the tune, which I call Everyone Shut Up, It's Alana's Notes. Hashtag Brett yes. Hashtag Owen yes. Hashtag Team Steve. Hashtag Alana, of course. All right, let's hear it. It's all Alana's Notes. Wait, Alana's Notes from Saucy Show. From Saucy Show.
Everyone shut up, cause Alana's talking. Everyone shut up, it's Alana's Notes.
Wow!
Oh my God, I just want that to
Take
play.
it away, Alana.
It's perfect.
I want that to play every day in every room I walk into. Just like, hey everyone, you're heard.
Everyone shut up, cause Alana's talking. Everyone shut up, it's Alana's Notes.
Wow, that's amazing, buddy.
That's really great.
It's really good, Saucy Show. Andrew Whitney sends an email saying, so last week I came off pretty strong in my hype for this show. Now after watching episode 2, I have to be completely honest with myself.
Sip.
This shit's still hype as fuck, but my heart hurts so much. Uncle George has to come back. There's a fucking ancient Bible magic, for God's sake. Fuck those rich super KKK assholes. I hope Christina set the order up to fail with that ring. Oh, and she comes back as an all-powerful eldritch beast tamer to work with Tick and Letty. Anyways, gonna go to bed and cry now. Wow, if she gave him like a rigged ring, that's really cool.
I wonder. I
like that.
I want that to be true.
That's really cool.
I love that. That's a great observation. Israel Chavez Lopez sends a kind of a long email, but, you know, I mean, I'll read it, whatever, but, you know, we'll do our best to keep them shorter, won't we?
Yes, please.
We'll all do our best to keep them shorter. Israel Chavez Lopez says, hello, BB boys and summer girl, Ecuadorian boy Israel here. I actually wanted to thank you guys. I came to the show expecting it to be similar to The Leftovers, but on last week's podcast, you made me realize that the tone of this show is completely different. Why would it be the same as Leftovers?
Bye-bye, baby.
Because we did Lost, I guess? I don't know. Once I adjusted my own expectations, I actually enjoyed the fuck out of this episode. I really like the portrayal of racism and discrimination in the show, I specifically like it. I also
like thought it said... Oh, it does say specially. Okay.
When the themes get complicated, it's very easy to hate a blatant racist. It is harder, however, when racism gets mixed with things that you approve. That's why one of my favorite parts of the episode was the Whitey on the Moon poem. I've always been a very strong advocate for science and progress. I've always loved NASA and the space program. But this poem gave me a little bit of context on the impoverishment and marginalization of black communities, stating that the funds used to put a Whitey on the moon could have been used to help and include black communities. These are the kind of hard questions I like, and I love that the show dabbles on these questions.
Yeah.
100%. That's it for today, guys. I'm really excited for this week's podcast. I really want to know your thoughts on a lot of details of the episode, the KKK references, the religious stuff, the sexism inside the cult. Can we trust Christina? And also all the crazy magical things happening. The show is sure is getting crazy, and I liked it. I like it. Thank you guys. Stay safe and wear a mask. P.S. Shout out to my boy Beto. I saw his entire adventure on his Instagram, and it was dope as fuck. Daniel says, finally got a piece. What's that?
I'm glad the horn came back.
Me too.
Me too. 3.
Daniel says he finally got a piece of the pie. Hey there, peeps and potential guest. When they were talking about Genesis, I got to thinking. In the beginning of time, before Adam named anything, everything was the equal. It's not until man intervened that things became unequal. I feel that's a powerful message amongst such a weird episode. Question, would you rather be under the spell and forget the monsters, or would you want to remember? Freaking wizards. Sent from the moon.
I want everybody except Samuel to get up and get the fuck out.
What would you rather have, Brett?
I mean, forever?
Yeah.
Probably not knowing. If I don't ever have to see the monsters again, I would rather not know.
If they're not
never gonna encounter
if they're not
them
a
again,
problem.
I don't want to be. Yeah.
Oh, I
like
want
if
to
the
know.
house going down took the monsters with, I'd be like, yeah, get that shit out. I don't want to have to think about that in the middle of the night.
I guess I would want to know only because if I knew that and I knew that for the rest of my life, then I would know that there are definitely fantastical things, without a doubt. Like, if there's monsters, then nothing's off the table at this point. And I think I'd rather live my life with the knowledge that, like, there might be more to this life and know it more than just a feeling and a want for it to be real. Because everybody wants magic to be real, right? If I could somehow prove magic is real and I saw monsters and shit, I think that would be what I would need to do that. I'm not saying it wouldn't give me the worst fucking nightmares
convince strangers.
forever.
No, you don't have
be
to.
like, anything's possible.
Yeah, or
You're just gonna be one of those people
alone
who
in your
believes it.
knowledge. Yeah.
Because if you keep trying to convince people, oh gosh.
I know, like
life-
trying to convince
life's
people
gonna
that
suck.
would suck. It would have to be based on someone just trusting that. But yeah, I don't know. That's interesting. What about you? You'd rather know?
I would rather remember because, I mean, I get the argument for wanting to forget. I think I almost always say I'd rather remember in these types of questions. But I especially would rather remember here because they came through. Like, that's a huge... I feel like the experience, what that does to your mind and your body, having like gone through something like that and lived and like achieved, even if those beings or those like creatures are still out there, having gone through it and lived is would be really, really incredible and helpful.
I like that. Canon.
Canon.
Mackey says, "Hello, my favorite television podcast peeps. They've got a new intro theme for us." Oh!
Intro.
Wrong one. Oops, there it is. Oh, no! I can't turn off the History Road theme!
You can't?
It's gotta play.
Why?
I set it up. I set up the History Road theme song to be a repeater, so every time you press the button, it would play a new one. So I could just go into infinity with the History Road song and like drive people crazy.
Which sounds
But
great.
it's turned out to be a curse at this point.
It's turned out to bit.
It's turned out to bit.
It bit me in the ass.
He says, last episode you said that you needed some new theme music, so I decided to create one for the intro of the show. I mean, we don't need a new intro, but all right. I tried to keep it within the theme of the show, and I even learned guitar for this occasion.
What?
Uh-oh. I hope you all enjoy. Don't feel like you have to use it, but I would appreciate it if you did. All right, Cannon, this is your shot, buddy. Let's do it.
It feels.
Oh.
It feels. It feels like the. It feels like the first time. It feels like the. Fuck. I had this. I got it. Hold on. It feels like the.
Hey, man. I'm trying to sleep. I don't.
Just give me 1 second. They need a new intro.
But it's like 2:30 in the morning. Wait, can you do this another time or?
You know, I don't bother you when you're studying in your room. So can you just let me do what I'm doing?
I don't think I need to explain why that's not a big deal.
Okay, we'll stop the recording.
That's a good outro.